And welcome to a hot, sticky, sweet edition of the Oddity Archive. Just probably not in the way that you were hoping for. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a little project that I've been working on sporadically since actually late last season. And this is all about a little problem that I encounter from time to time when transferring old video and audio tapes for this show. And this is a little phenomenon known as sticky shed syndrome. For the uninitiated, here's a little one-paragraph lesson on this topic. In a dumbed-down nutshell, audio and videotape are made of three elements. A usually polyester base material, which is covered in magnetic oxide particles, as well as a binder solution, also for lubrication. On polyester tape, read all videotape and a majority of audio tape, the binder has been known to absorb moisture in the air over time, causing the tape to become soft and sticky. When attempting to play back a sticky tape, the heads in a machine get clogged up, causing the tape to, at best, drop in quality, and at worst, seize up completely. The oxide and binder that build up on and around your machine is known as sticky shed, hence sticky shed syndrome. The most common method of dealing with sticky shed is to bake the moisture out of the tape, which theoretically stabilizes the tape for a few weeks, during which time you can transfer it to something more stable. Lovely. A fair amount of the time, I'm able to naturally dry out tapes to a point where I can at least take a pass at them. But then there's those tapes that have gone sticky to the point where Mother Nature alone just isn't gonna cut it. And this came to a bit of a boiling point for me right around the end of last season. But before we get to the heart of today's episode, I want to just briefly discuss a little bit of a false start that I had in trying to tackle this little issue. Back in May, I found an old convection oven in a thrift store for $10. It powered up, but I didn't want to test the heating element in the store, so in short, I took a gamble. Whoever owned it previously apparently wasn't much into cleaning up after themselves, as the inside of the oven was a poop-colored nightmare. So I dutifully picked up a can of Easy Off at the grocery store and went to work. It took 2 rounds of overnight Easy Off applications, but I finally got the oven thoroughly cleaned out. The following day, I went to test the oven, and when I turned it on, it began smoking. Now, I had read online that this wasn't unusual after a manual cleaning, but the smoke got worse, fast, so I immediately unplugged the oven, and the cord had gotten rather hot as well. The oven, once it cooled down, went right in the trash. The remainder of today's episode is comprised of a, pardon the pun, half-baked documentary that I shot, or when pertinent, just took pictures, while preparing for and attempting a method of tape baking involving a food dehydrator. And this was all shot or photographed or transferred over the span of a 5-day work week, mostly in stolen moments while working on other archive-related projects. And admittedly, this isn't the most exciting work I've ever done. In fact, I think we can pretty safely say that this is gonna be kind of a dry episode. Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag. I am retiring from making Oddity Archive. I'm going to go into the organic food business, And the idea that I've been kicking around lately has been selling designer brand raisins, my own little designer brand. And I was thinking maybe 6 per bag, and I think it'll go for about 20 bucks a pop in a nice biodegradable plastic bag. And you'll be seeing it at a Whole Foods near you, and I'll be living in a really, really nice mansion. Or I've just kind of run into a wall with some of the transfer work that I have to do for Archive. I think you know the real truth. So I've been fighting this whole tape baking thing for some time just because I personally am not entirely sold on no long-term damage done to tapes by baking them. But I have some that are just so sticky that I gotta do something. And of course it helps that I'm not exactly dealing with the most valuable stuff in the world either. So anyway, yeah, I bought a dehydrator, and I guess let me just explain this a little bit. Over the summer, I do this every year. Between seasons of Archive, I tend to post a lot of stuff to Archive Annex, another channel I have here on YouTube, and that's mostly just about sharing stuff from the archive, you know, no commentary or anything. And so one of the tapes I was fighting with over the summer helped push me towards this conclusion. And that tape was one I did share, and it's this video demo of a group called the Perry Players, an early 80s R&B group, kind of in the same vein as Kool and the Gang and Earth, Wind and Fire, and not quite as good as either of those, but definitely not bad. But this tape was a little sticky, but I was able to just dry it out as best as I could naturally. And unfortunately, it still took me, I think, 8 passes at the tape to get a more or less stable run at it. And even then, there were still a pretty serious amount of dropouts. And the only way I was able to share this was eventually, after trial and error, dubbing it to Super Betamax. And that's what I used. And the quality just isn't as good as the original tape, obviously. So that pushed me towards it. But the straw that really broke the camel's back was a tape that I was sent by a viewer. And he's actually sent me a few U-Matic tapes. And, yeah, I'm subtle, aren't I? This is what I believe to be a broadcast master of a Buddy Hackett stand-up special from 1983. Not sure I'd ever be able to really share this publicly, but it is one that I'd like to at least be able to transfer and have backed up somewhere. But this thing had gone really sticky, and I'm normally, as I said, I'm able to dry tapes out naturally, just with the dry Colorado climate. But this one was beyond Mother Nature's help. And I actually took a picture of this and posted it to Facebook and Twitter when I was trying to work with this. And I think you probably saw pretty quickly what was up with it. The arrow always helps, doesn't it? The little finger pointy thing I do. Anyway, he also sent me this reel of Kodak Fun Saver disposable camera commercials that I'd like to be able to save, but I just can't really do it within my current means. But having said that, I do have a nice back stock of sticky tapes that I don't think has anything of value on them, and I'm okay with getting rid of. So I'm prepared to do a little trial and error with this thing. So, like, I've got a beta tape that I'm okay with losing. There's nothing really of any great value on there. And I got some B-roll footage from some really, really poor documentary, and it's silent to boot. But stuff that I think I'll be okay with losing if I mess up. But anyway, let's take a cut here and let's look through the contents and let me explain what I hope to do. So I've been reading online about amateur tape baking, and this particular model of dehydrator is the one I keep reading about the most. It's a Nesco American Harvest Snack Master, I think it's called. And so here's the lid slash heating element for it. And my understanding is that the magic temperature is 125 to 135. And we'll find out, won't we? So anyway, on the subject of temperature, I've been needing one of these around archive anyway, and since I don't know how accurate the temperature is, I figured this would be a good time to invest in a multimeter, since, like I said, I've been kind of needing one around here anyway. So that was an expense I was totally okay with. And this does temperature, and it has a probe in it, and I've tested it, and it seems to work pretty well. So hopefully that works. And then if we get down here, we've got, well, we got trays to make fruit roll-ups on. That's great. Don't think I'm going to be cooking food in here, though. Which is a shame, because we have all these wonderful spice packets in here. But, I don't know, maybe I can season my tapes to perfection, you know, like have a nice beefy U-Matic and maybe a nice fruity Betamax or something. So, these will probably just wind up getting thrown out. And, I don't know, maybe I'll try a recipe in here and just replace the food with a tape. So anyway, here's what I was thinking. We have 5 trays here. They stack, obviously, they interlock. And they're not quite deep enough to put anything of substance on, you know, like a U-Matic tape, and still put the lid on. So the idea is, again, I got 5 of them. So what would amount to numbers 2 and 4, I'm going to cut out the mesh and leave the outer ring intact to buy myself some space to cook on, and it'll also allow me to have 2 layers to work with. So that's the basic idea, and I got some snips that will hopefully work in cutting these out. Otherwise I might have to pay my father a visit and see if I can't borrow a pair of tin snips if I wind up needing them. But anyway, this is what I've got in mind, and let's do the cheesy montage thing. Okay, it was getting a little late in the day yesterday to bake tapes because I think I'm looking at about an 8-hour baking time. And so, 8 hours, I'm gonna flip the tapes every couple hours and see what that gets me. It is 9:30 in the morning when I'm shooting this, so 5:30 this afternoon. Hopefully, tapes will be at least done baking, but I'll let them settle and cool overnight and start playing with them tomorrow, assuming I don't have anything else I need to do worse. But anyway, today I'm going to be cooking all stuff that I'm okay with losing because I've never done this before. This is all an experiment. But the bottom layer is a Betamax tape, which I think is just a dub of the movie Grease. And then a cassette tape, which is a little more rare. It's the stereo mix of the Phil Spector Christmas album. But it's nothing that's not replaceable. So anyway, I got on top of that a U-Matic tape, and I've drawn little arrows on the layers just because I keep losing myself when I'm trying to put all this together. So let's do this. I've got the oven pre-dialed in for what will be 130 degrees plus or minus 5 to factor in any fluctuation. So we should be good. 125 to 135 looks like a decent spot. We'll find out, won't we? Alright. Let's get this going. Okay, the probe is kind of sitting like a third of the way into the thing. Hopefully I'll give a good accurate air temperature for more or less where the tapes are cooking. Let's put a lid on it. And here goes nothing.
spoiling it, Sandy. It's only making it better.
Danny, is this the end?
Of course not. It's only the beginning.
The main brain, Vince Fontaine, beginning your day with the only way. Music, music, music. Get out of bed, it's the first day of school.
You seen the ones over there?
The same old chicks everybody's made.
Let's go, son.
Merry Christmas.
The Kodak FunSaver Weekend 35 camera. It takes pictures where most other cameras can't. Clear, sharp pictures. Even 8 feet underwater. The affordable FunSaver Weekend 35 camera. Preloaded with Kodak film, ready to shoot. Get one and get all the fun on film.
While I'm still not entirely sold on the whole tape baking concept, at least in the amateur sense, I guess it is nice to have another, if you will, weapon in the archive's arsenal. But as far as how I normally do things around here, I think I still intend to try and naturally dry out my tapes as much as possible, and, only use the dehydrator when it's a really bad tape. But of course, with the march of time, it might have to become a little more of a thing around here. Only time will tell. Anyway, that's it for today's archive. Join me in 20 years when we find out if my efforts have all been in vain.